Shalom to the bride of the Messiah, and shalom, shalom to the scattered Hebrew Israelites. For you are the bride of Yahuwah, and Yahuwah is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Shalom. All right, my brothers and sisters, I want to bring you, hopefully this report can be short and detailed. And if you are new to learning the Most High calendar, welcome. And there are many videos on the channel that you can watch. And also for if you have further questions after watching those videos, you can always email me at followingthemessiah378@gmail.com. All right, my brothers and sisters, what you see before you is that in the video description box, if you click on the link for the Google Documents for the 4th new moon report, you can click on that link to have access to this calendar. Therefore, if it is free unto you, you can print it out or you can come back to review it, okay? That way you can just focus on what I'm saying in this video. Also, what you see before you, when you click on that link, you will come to the title of that Google document report, but it has other links attached to that report so you can go look at, such as like other new moon sightings by others, the end of the year sum report, and that's still being worked on. It's not completed yet. Also, which is most important, you can click on Yahuwah prophetic messages. He has spoken, Israelites and Gentiles. He has confirmed unto us who are the Israelites, and he has given them specific instructions to follow in these last days. Please click on that link to review, and also you can print his messages out, my brothers and sisters, which I highly recommend because he said a lot of deep things. He is speaking to the nation of Israel. Also, there's a message to the bride of the Messiah. So, and then to Gentiles, you can see or get the understanding who are the Israelites, and you can see what season we are in because we can see these signs being manifested in the heavens and in the earth. Okay. And last not least, there's a link about the lunar epoch. You may not never heard of it, but the prophet Enoch is given that divine information. Now, when you read Enoch's writing, many know about the first book, but there is a second book of Enoch. And I highly recommend that you read both books. Some of the errors I see with my brothers and sisters, when they read the first book, they run with one particular passage when they is trying to learn about the Most High calendar. But this is where they err. When you go back in Torah, and the prophets will confirm this, and the gospel will confirm this, there's a lot of confirmation out there to prove what I'm saying unto you. But when you just go back to the basic, Genesis tell us of the three lights that makes up his calendar. And they are the sun, the moon, and Mazzaroth. Now, Mazzaroth is a Hebrew word that means the 12 signs. Now, the Gentiles today call it the zodiac, and even Josephus would confirm this unto you when you read his writings. So what I'm saying unto you, my brothers and sisters, when you're learning about the create a calendar, it cannot consist of only one light. It has to consist of the three lights. And one of the greatest errors, and the Father had to correct me on this too, when we look at his holy days, such as the new moon days, the Sabbath days, and the solemn feast days, and the other days that, we keep a memorial of, a lot of people tend to focus on the moon, and they're quick to say lunar. But do you ever hear our fellow brothers and sisters say lunar Passover, or lunar Pentecost, or Shavuot, or lunar Feast of Trumpets? No. So this is why I'm saying to you, especially those who are new, the heavens dictate unto us when his holy days are, and when are the ordinary days. Okay? You cannot separate these lights. You have to use all three lights because they have a specific role in the calendar, such as the moon dictates when the month begin and end. Okay? The sun dictates when the day begin and end. And the sun works with Mazzaroth to dictate unto us when the seasons begin and end. That's just basic stuff. So I'm just stressing unto you, my brothers and sisters, whoever you are learning from when it comes to the created calendar, if they not teaching you about these three lights and their calendar do not consist of these three lights, they are erring. When they are making a mistake. You cannot separate these lights. Okay, and that's all I want to say on that. Now let's get to the calendar because I want to be short and straight to the point. For those who have been observing the heavens and looking at other people's reports, we have learned that the new moon was seen on the heathens' day they call Wednesday at sundown, which was July the 3rd. And Israel didn't see the new moon, nor did Brother Yahushua saw it on that day. They saw it on the heathen day known as Thursday at sundown, which was July the 4th. Okay, again, this is a sign unto you Israelites to let you know who you are. Yahuwah will speak to us in many ways, and he does speak to us often through his heavens. He is letting us know that we have not returned to the land. We have not been restored as a nation. The two kingdoms are still split and they are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Okay? So again, that's another sign unto you Israelites. All right, for those who are waking up. But before we begin to discuss the fourth month, we need to close out the third month. Okay? And before I get to that third month, some brief announcements. On the channel, we have some playlists that was put together for you, my brothers and sisters, because when we talk about the fourth month, you're going to begin to understand why the wheat is harvest and ripe in the fourth month. And if you don't understand that, there are some videos to give you the proof and confirmation. The title of that playlist is Where's Your Wheat for Pentecost Sacerdotes Israelites? See, when the Father created everything, if you notice, the heavens go in hand with the earth. What's manifested in the heavens is manifested in the earth, just as the spiritual go in hand with the carnal. When the Father begin to teach you some deep things, you begin to understand that relationship. For example, I was talking about the three lights. When the sun is working with Mazzaroth, it let us know what season we are in. So when a certain season come forth, guess what? The earth confirms it. It brings what? Certain signs in the earth. For example, in spring, we know that's when the barley comes. Okay? Also in spring, that's when you have animals migrating back to areas of warmer climates. Okay, so it's many signs that's manifested in the earth that go in hand with the heaven to give us understanding of these things. Okay, the next announcement is on the channel, not this one. I put a playlist together for you dealing with Enoch's calendar and the Sabbath. There was a couple videos added, okay? But in that playlist, I do want to bring this to your attention. Like I said, I'm not coming with opinions. I'm coming with facts. Stuff you can look up for yourself, Israelites and Gentiles. But there's one particular proof that I'm proving unto you that the Gregorian calendar, which is a Roman calendar, it is the fourth beast calendar. It will not give you the most high holy days, such as the new moon days. It won't give it to you. Such as the Sabbath days, it will not give you his Sabbath days. And it will not give you his solemn feast days. That calendar is a complete opposite of the Most High calendar, nor does it follow the circuits of the heavens. Okay, so when you go out in the heavens and you observe these things and you compare to what the heathens have in that calendar, it does not match up. It has many errors. Okay, so one of the videos in that playlist of Enoch's calendar and the Sabbath is titled "No Hebrew Israelite Can Dispute the 1582 Error and the 1752 Error." And when you watch that video, you begin to understand why you cannot use the Roman calendar, the Gregorian calendar, Satan's calendar. Can't use it. You cannot use that calendar to get none of the Most High holy days. You're going to have to go back to the basics. Okay? And last but not least, you probably wonder why I follow some things with Brother Yahushua, because in the beginning, when I was learning about the calendar, I came across some things that he was discussing, and I found some of the things he said was correct. However, again, I'm coming with facts, not opinions. Simple math. There were some overlooked errors. I had talked to him before in the past. He has rejected me, so I just moved on. But there is a playlist to give you understanding why I don't agree with some of his things he say about the calendar. Again, it's just not dealing with opinions, it's dealing with facts. But when I was looking at his records and when I had found some overlooked errors, it led me to this, my brothers and sisters. It led me to about the EPAC. And you don't see many people discussing this. But this information was given to the prophet Enoch that the heathens do use. Because this is how they are able to schedule their so-called holidays or pagan days near the Most High holy days, keeping the world distracted, and they would never see what is the correct day. So, through looking at my brother calendar records and looking at some of his overlooked errors, it led me to this, which gave me another piece to the puzzle of the calendar, of the created calendar, and to understand when the heavens produce a 13th month, a 13th moon. Okay? Heavens back it up, his prophets back it up, and you can find these in his sacred writings. All right. So on the channel, there's a playlist on that to give you understanding why I don't agree with everything that he has to say. But last but not least, in the last Numa report of the third month, I had made an error. I had gave you the wrong biblical date when the Israelites came out of the wilderness of Sinai. I did put the correction in the video description box, but I do want to mention this video. And you will see why I'm mentioning this, because it'll give us understanding why the wheat is harvest and ripe in the fourth month, not the third month. And when you watch those playlists, there's evidence today to confirm what I'm telling you. Okay? But I don't want to talk on that now. But when you read Numbers chapter 10, verse 11 to 12, it gives us the biblical date. In the second year, when they were out of Egypt, when the Israelites were out of Egypt, in the second month and on the 20th day, that's when they left the wilderness of Sinai. That's very important to know, and you'll see why as we talk about the fourth new moon. Okay, sorry about that. Now let's close out the third month, and so we can get to the fourth month. I don't want to waste your time. All right. So here's the third month. To close things out, when the sun was in its fourth month, it had a total of 32 days. And I said, I know you guys are saying, whoa, but Enoch say something different. Again, you got to read the first and second book of Enoch and you have to observe the heavens. But those who keep a record, you will understand why when we get into the season of summer, we have extra days. And when we get into the season of winter, we have fewer days. But at the end of the year, the total days of the sun will be 365 a quarter or 366. Okay, so don't freak out. But that's what I have for right now. But if I had made an error on my part, I would correct myself in the video description box or in another video. Okay. So for the sun 4th month, it had a total of 32 days. And the ongoing count of the sun circuit, we have a total of 124 days. Now, when you look at the heathens calendar, because again, they don't follow the Bible. They don't follow the Torah, which is instructions. In other words, they don't follow the Creator at all. So they would have more days in their calendar now because they start their month in January. But when you review the history of the heathens, they used to start their month in March. Like I said, you got to go back in history to learn these things. And when you learn these things, you can see what Satan has done, how he has blinded the world, and how he has kept the world in darkness. But let us continue. So in the 4th beast calendar right now, they have a total of 181 days when we just go up to from January to June. Okay. So when you compare to what the Most High have in the sun circuit, they are way ahead. They are off. Okay. Now let's go down. So in the 3rd month of the Most High calendar, it had a total of, and I'm trying to get to it before I say the number because I don't want to make an error, a total of 29 days. Okay. So we had a total of 29 days for the 3rd month. Now, when I do the total summary report, that's when I look at the quarters of the year, and I'll go more in detail about looking at the moon circuit and giving you an estimate of the exact or the accurate days, hours, and minutes. Because it's a difference between calendar days versus when you looking at the actual timing of the moon. Okay. And that's the same for the sun. But for Israel, for the 3rd month, they will have a total of 29 days. For the YHUH will have a total of 29 days. And the creator calendar will have a total of 29 days. Okay. All right. And that's all I'm going to say on that part. And that will close out the 3rd month. So let's go back to the top and look at the 4th month. So the title of this video, as I'm scrolling up, is, and I have to remember the title, excuse me, Wheat Harvest and the 40 days completion of Moses. Now, when you read, most people say Old Testament or the first 5 books, which is Torah, when you read it, you will learn that it does go in hand with the new covenant or the new marriage. And you cannot separate the two. I don't know why people want to separate the Bible and only read parts of it, but you can't do that. You have to come in the whole volume of the book in the same way the Messiah did, because it would give you understanding why the new covenant has to come, well, why the new covenant was brought forth. It would give you understanding of what is yet to come. And let's see what else I was going to say. And it would give you understanding of hidden messages, mysteries. Because what happened in the days of Moses, and you read from Genesis, is some deep things to give you understanding. Also, it will also relate to the calendar. Everything ties in itself. It's like a circle. Everything relates so you can get the big picture. So you can see what the Father is showing unto you. So you can hear what he is saying. But most important, you can understand what he's saying. Okay? So those who are new to the calendar, when you open it up in this first box, I give you a lot of good information, such as what season we are in, and if we are having a feast that relates to the harvest. Okay, that's very important to know, because there's 3 solemn feasts that deals with the harvest. Okay. Also, I give you some important biblical scriptures to look at that relates to the calendar. It also relates to the Sabbaths, because we have many different types of Sabbaths. You have the 7-day Sabbath. You have a Sabbath that deals with every 7 years. Then you have a Jubilee where you have to rest. Then you have a convocation day, which is a day of rest to enjoy your fruits of your labor, or to enjoy the fruits of your works, because we are made in his image. Did not the Father rest after he performed his work, which was creation? So the same thing that he gave unto Adam, because Adam was made to plow the earth, or to sow the earth. So he also gave Adam his days of rest. Do you see how everything relates? So when you understand these spiritual messages and mysteries, then you begin to understand his calendar. Also, these holy days would teach you deeper spiritual mysteries. Okay? But that what you'll see in this first box. A lot of good information in that first box. Then when you get to the second box, it lets you know what Hebrew month we are in. Okay. And then in red, you will see I'm keeping up with the people who do not believe in the 13th month. Now, I had started that from 2015 to 2016 because many of them did not add a 13th month. Okay. And in the year of, make sure I got it right, 2018 to 2019, we also had a 13th month. And you would see, based on the evidence, this is evidence. This is not opinions. This is not something that can be disputed. These are things we can observe in the heavens and keep it on paper. You would see that the people who do not believe in the 13th month, they are out of season. Such as, for example, they kept Passover in winter season, not in spring. Go back and see when the sun entered into the first sign of Mazzaroth, you will learn through the prophet Enoch that the next day is the first day of spring. Go and look at what day they kept Passover on. The evidence is there. See, this is how the Father creates things. He would give you the confirmation. It would manifest itself heavenly, spiritually, and carnally, physically, earthly. Everything works together. But it is Adam who is out of order, because our forefather fell, and that curse or that punishment fell upon his seed. Okay? So those who do not believe in the 13th month, this is their 5th month for them. Now you will find that some of them will not admit the truth, and like I say, you can probably look at some of their old videos if they have not deleted them. But unfortunately, we're in a time where instead of just being honest and admitting the truth and say, okay, I see the evidence. I do see that the heavens do produce a 13th month according to Yahuwah's instructions. Instead of just being honest and going with the flow of things, or going with the truth of the Most High, they're going to deny it. The same way the Pharisees, Sadducees, and scribes and Herodians deal with the Messiah when he resurrected. They try to cover it up. Okay? But let us keep going. So in the 4th month, we do not have a Hebrew name. There is a Babylonian name that the Israelite used, but I don't use it because I learned that it came from a deity. It came from another god. But it's a reason why the Israelite used that name. Go back, Hebrews. Go back, Gentiles. That playlist I told you about, where's your wheat? Right here. It's going to show you why the Israelites chose to name the fourth month behind that deity. Okay. Now, when you read the work of Josephus, you will see the Hebrew word for the 50th day is, I'm going to try to say it, as Sartha, if I said it correctly. You can find the book of Antiquities in book 3, chapter 10, number 6. Okay. And as far as parenthesis in the number, you can find it under 252. Okay. So this year, the fourth month on the heathens calendar, remember now, the Most High calendar is going to rotate on the heathens calendar. It's not going to be fixed. So it's going to be constantly moving, constantly changing. It's not going to start on the same day, time, and month in the heathens calendar. And the reason is because the Most High calendar is based on the circuits of heaven, based on the moon circuit, based on the sun circuit, and based on Maseroth. Right? So this year, the fourth month will fall in the month between the month of between the month of July and August. Okay. Now, we have already discussed that the sun fourth month has a total of 32 days. And I think I do need to make a correction on this because this should be sun number 5. Okay. Because in the fourth month of the moon, we will have the sun to enter into its 5th month. And you will see what I'm talking about as we go further in this video. Now, for those who go by the heavens to dictate when your Sabbath day shall be, okay, we shall keep the Most High 7th day on Thursday. No, it should not be Thursday. It's going to be Wednesday at sundown to Thursday at sundown. And you know what? I'm going to make that correction right now. Let me go ahead and correct it because I don't want, let's see here. I want you to see what I'm doing. Yeah, that should be Wednesday, Thursday. And you know how I made that error, my brothers and sisters? Copying and pasting. So I do apologize. I copy and paste from the previous year, but I didn't update it. Sorry about that. Let me get this confirmed. There we go. So this will be from Wednesday from sundown to Thursday at sundown. Again, if you're new, and I know you're not going to understand this right now, you have to read Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. Okay? Not only that book, the Old Testament, the Apocrypha, and the Gospel will confirm what I'm saying unto you, Israelites and Gentiles. The Sabbath day of the Most High Yah is determined by the heavens. Okay? And I do not call it the lunar Sabbath because, again, do we call Passover lunar Passover? You have to understand the functions of these lights. Okay? So that's why I don't say it. I say the heavens. Okay? Also, I have listed for you some scriptures you can read that pertains to the fourth month. Okay? And also get us understanding about the new moon offerings. Because when you study about the new moon day, the word, his spirit will teach you that the new moon day do not fall on the same day as the Sabbath. They are separate. And the prophet Ezekiel will confirm that unto you. This is why when you read scriptures, the new moon day is written separately from the Sabbath day. When you study the offerings, you will learn that the offerings are totally different on the new moon day versus the Sabbath day. And Josephus will back this up. I found a lot of evidence in the work of Josephus, despite of it being translated in the heathen language, okay? Because, yeah, you know how the heathens are. When they translate our sacred books, they didn't have the full understanding of the full insight. However, you can still get the truth. The Spirit will lead you to the truth and to soundproof. Okay? Here I say in red, it said, remember the count to Pentecost Shavuot is, and you can find this in the word, 7 complete Sabbaths and 50 days. For wheat and grapes are right in summertime. Also, it is a twofold festival. And there's a video you can watch. You can click on that playlist. So when you click on the Google link to get to the calendar, that playlist to give you understanding why Shavuot is a twofold feast festival. Okay. Now, when we look at the creation timeline, when we look at biblical events, in the 8th day of creation, which is day 2 from Adam, we have the 10 commandments in stone that was given to Moses. So, FYI, in the 8th day from creation, which is day 2 from Adam, we have the 10 commandments that was written on a stone. It was given to Moses. Okay, that's just a biblical event. Now we're going to get to the day 1, the first day of the month. So as I said before, in the first day of the month, many of the countries, including the West, saw the new moon before Israel, and that is a sign. Okay, prophecy is fulfilled. Enoch does talk about these things. Even Yahuwah talks about these things in his prophetic message. That's why I'm telling you to print them out. Now, when we look at a biblical event, in the 4th month, on the first day of the moon, this is the 12th night and the 13th daylight that Moses is in Mount Sinai. And he's talking to the Father. He's receiving the instructions, such as how to build a tabernacle, when are his feast days, what should, the Israelites do, how they should live, etc. Okay? And what you see in green, this is the count to Pentecost. So on the first day of the moon of this year, it is the 22nd day count to Pentecost. Okay? Another biblical event you can read in the Bible and in Jubilees. In the 4th month, okay, on the first day of the moon, this is Noah. This happened during the day of Noah, when he was in the ark. And when he was in the ark, he saw the top of the mountain. That means the water has ceased far enough where he could see the top of the mountain. Okay? When you read those books, and this is what this is coming from the word teaching you about the Most High calendar and about time. In the days of Moses, the year started with him in the 7th month. Okay, known as Tishri or Ephraim. It didn't start in Aviv. Okay, so this is why you see me listing this event in the 4th month, because in Noah days, it would have occurred in the 10th month on the first day of the moon, on the new moon day. Okay, and it's a reason why those books mention it, and we'll talk about that further in this video, but it gives us understanding how the seasons came to be. Why we have, today the Gentiles say spring, summer, fall, and winter. Okay? Let us continue. So on the first day of the moon of this year, it is the sun's 4th month and 13th day, and it fell on the heathen's day, which was July the 3rd at sundown. Okay? And that day we end on July the 4th at sundown. All right. Now let's go to the first week of the moon. And what I did, my brothers and sisters, like I said, I'm still working on this calendar, but I just put the most important information for you to have. So what I would recommend before you can print it out, but before you print it out, come back next week to print it out. Okay. But I have the most important events for you to know, so you can, go ahead and start keeping what happens in the 4th month as a remembrance. Now, on day 2 of the moon, what you see here, where my cursor at, this is the day when Brother Yahushua and Israel saw the moon. Okay. As far as the biblical event, it is the 13th night and the 14th daylight of Moses being on Mount Sinai, and it's the 23rd count to Pentecost of the 50. And this falls on the sun's 4th month and 14th day. Okay. And on the heathen's day, it falls on July the 4th at sundown and on July the 5th at sundown. Okay. Now let's go to the 6th day of the moon. On the 6th day of the moon, we have the moon increasing in light. And on this day, she will be about 50% illuminated. On the heathen's day, it will occur about July the 9th, 2019 at 1:54 p.m. Israel Daylight Savings Time. Okay. On the day of the sun, it occurs on the 4th month and in its 18th day. And this is the 27th day count to Pentecost. And as far as the day for Moses on Mount Sinai, it is his 17th day, his 17th night and 18th daylight. Now, those who did not watch the third new moon report, you probably saying, why is this not the same? When you go back and read Exodus, you will learn that he went in the mountain after the morning activities in the daylight phase of the day. Remember, a day consists of night and daylight. All right. So when you do your math, you would have like 40 and a half days, but actually it was 40 daylights and 40 nights. He started his day in the mountain after the morning activities in the daylight phase. So that's why you see the daylight is ahead of the night. Okay? But it still come out to be 40. And on the heathen's day, it falls on July the 8th at sundown and on July the 9th at sundown. Now for the Sabbath. For the first Sabbath in the 4th month, will fall on the day 8 of the moon. Far as the sun, it will fall on the 20th day of the sun in its 4th month. Far as the biblical event, this is Moses' 20th daylight and 19th night on Mount Sinai. And this is the 29th day count to Pentecost. And on the heathen's day, it falls on the July the 10th to July the 11th, from sundown to sundown. And that completes the first week of the moon. Now we're going to the second week of the moon. But do you see how I'm talking about each light? I had just discussed to you about the days of the sun and the days of the moon. Okay? And we will be talking about Mazzaroth pretty soon. So on the 9th day of the moon, we have an important biblical event to keep a memorial of. On this day in the 4th month and 9th day, and you can read it in the work of Josephus, also in the book of Kings, Chronicles, and the Prophets, you will learn that we had a fast. And it is to remind us about the great famine that my ancestors went through during the time when the Babylonians was conquering Jerusalem. This is, I'm not going to say it's the first captivity, but this is one of the major captivities that we look at because it relates to the prophecy that was given unto Daniel. Also, Ezra was given the other piece that Daniel was not given. And then it would give us understanding of Revelation. Okay? This is why it's very important to keep more of these things, because now we begin to understand how the Most High can raise up a kingdom and how he can bring a kingdom down. And we know, based on history, based on the word, based on his prophets and etc., we know we are in the 4th beast. We are in the 4th kingdom. This is the last kingdom. And this is the kingdom that the Messiah will bring down. And this is the kingdom that the Most High will finish. See, he going to send his son to take care of the first part. But then He's going to finish it completely. You gotta, and like I say, when you read the Apocrypha, the prophets, and Revelation, you begin to understand. So this is why we need to keep more of these things. It is to remind us, because if he did it back then, did he not destroy many kingdoms? Did he not raise many kingdoms up? I mean, Yahuwah did this himself. So the same is going to happen again. This is why when I love reading King Solomon writings, because he tells us what? There's nothing new underneath the sun. What happened then is going to happen again. But this time it's on a great worldwide level, brothers and sisters. Okay? So on the 9th day of the moon, we keep a fast. You can do a physical fast by, restraining from something that's a pleasure, or you can choose to do the Isaiah 58 fast. Again, these are to give us understanding and teach us spiritual things. Meditate on it, and you'll see why. When you choose to make a sacrifice for the Father, he begin to show you things. He will come nigh unto you. Okay? Far as the biblical event, it falls on the 21st daylight and the 20th night of Moses being Mount Sinai. And this is 30-day count to Pentecost. And I'm sorry I didn't put down the Heathens' Day. Let me get that date for you. Bring this up a little bit. So on the Heathens' Day, it will fall on July the 11th at sundown to July the 12th at sundown. As far as the day of the sun, it will fall on the sun's 4th month and 20th day. Okay? Now let's go back to the second week of the moon. Now in the second week of the moon, this is when you have the full moon to occur. And through the prophet and, through even the heathens book, you will learn that, and also the heavens, that we only have one day for a full moon. And the full moon usually occur on the 14th day or the 15th day. But there are days, or where there have been months where the moon would do her own things. But again, it's fulfilling biblical prophecy. Okay? But in this month, on the 4th month of the Most High calendar, we have the full moon to occur on the 14th day of the moon circuit. And it falls on the sun circuit in its 4th month and 26th day. Far as the count to Pentecost is the 35th day to the 50th day count. And as far as the biblical event, it is the 26th daylight and the 25th night that Moses on Mount Sinai. Far as the heathen date, this year it falls on July the 16th at sundown and ends on July the 17th at sundown. Now for the second Sabbath in the Most High calendar of its first or the 4th month, it falls on the 15th day of the moon. Far as the day of the sun, it falls on the 27th day of the sun in this 4th month. Okay? Far as the heathen day, it will fall on July the 17th to July the 18th from sundown to sundown. And this is our 36th day count to Pentecost. And as far as the biblical event, this is Moses' 26th night and 27th daylight on Mount Sinai. Now, let's bring us to this. For those who know about the 3rd month, it's very important to pay attention to dates. Isn't it amazing that the Father delivered the Israelites out of Egypt on the 15th day in the month of Abib, and then they came to the wilderness of Sin, where he had given them what? He gave them when his Sabbath day was. Go back and read. And it isn't amazing he brought them on the 15th day to the wilderness of Sin in the 2nd month of his calendar. Then when we get to the 3rd month of his calendar, on the 15th day, he brought them into the wilderness of Sinai. Do you see about these numbers? Why is all these numbers the same? That's something for you to meditate and to talk to the Father about, but it's a reason. why he had them to go through, why he brought them out, and why he brought them, and why he brought the Israelites to these certain places on the 15th day. So when you read the 10 Commandments, he mentions something very important when he talks about the Sabbath day. One of the things he mentioned, he said, remember, Israelites, when you was a servant. Why did he say that? I mean, that is something for you to meditate on, Israelites and Gentiles. And the reason why I'm mentioning this, because many of my brothers and sisters who are Israelites are keeping Shavuot way before the 15th. Because when you read the Bible and you read Jubilees and even Josephus, I mean, there's many clues. And when you look at the earth, and farmers would tell you the wheat is only ripe in summertime. So when you look at the day they are keeping Pentecost and Shavuot, notice that they are keeping it in springtime. Do you see them bringing them? Do you see them bringing a new meat offering from the wheat? Do you see the Israelites doing that? For example, when we get to a V, everybody talks about the Barbie. They show you, they go out there in the field and they show you the barley, and they show you the sheaf weight offering or the Omer offering. But when we get to Shavuot, they don't do that. And then what the Father told me about the wheat, that's an ancient wheat. And it does exist today. It's different from the wheat that we see today, you know. And I had learned through him from research that the Jewish who are converts, okay, they get most of their wheat from America. Okay, and we know America don't follow the Most High, nor do they have this ancient wheat, but there is remnant of this wheat, and some people are growing it now. But anyway, you have to watch the playlist to get the more inner details. But what he has taught me is that why nobody's showing you about the wheat when it's right? Why no one's showing you when they harvest the wheat in the 3rd month on that day when they keep in Shavuot? Why they're not making the bread from the wheat that they gather for those who are able, those who are living off the land? Okay? Why they're not doing that? Like I said earlier in this video, the heavens going to go in hand with the earth. What's manifesting the heavens manifesting the earth. So what I'm saying to you, my brothers and sisters, this is how it was confirmed unto me that I knew that Pentecost was not kept on the right day, nor in its right month. There are clues, there are proof for those who truly want the answer. I'm just telling you, go back and read and ask the Father, because he give us signs. It manifests itself in the heavens and it manifests itself in the earth. And my dad's a farmer, and he told me, he said, wheat is only ripe in summertime. And that's the same time when the grapes are ripe. Okay? All right. Now let's get to the 3rd week of the moon. I just want to mention that. So in the 3rd week of the moon, we have another important biblical event. Okay? Something that you may not hear or know about. On the 17th day of the moon, in its 4th month, this is where we have the daily sacrifice to cease. And this was prophesied by Daniel, the prophet Daniel. And the daily sacrifice I'm talking about, this is a sacrifice that was offered every day. And only the high priest could offer this offering unto the Most High. Okay? It was done in morning and it was done in evening. But when the Romans came, as prophesied, and this is again, everything happened according to the Most High will, and they was, during the time of conquering Jerusalem, in the 4th month on the 17th day, that's when the daily sacrifice ceased. Something to look at before they was able to besiege Jerusalem completely. Okay? You can read about that in Daniel chapter 9, verse 27, because that fulfilled the 70 weeks of what he was talking about. And it confirms what the Messiah was talking about when you read Matthew 24 and the other chapters that relates to Matthew 24 in the book of Mark, Luke, and I think John. Okay? And you can read this also in the book of War, book 6, chapter 2, number 1. In parentheses, it's under number 93. Okay? I thought it was very interesting to know. So, it fulfilled what the prophet Daniel prophesies. He said what? The daily sacrifice or the daily oblation. I'm trying to think what the word that he used. If you don't mind, I want to turn to that chapter because we need to look at that. Daniel chapter 9, verse 27. Because many people take the 70 weeks and I'm not saying things don't happen again, but Daniel's 70 weeks was fulfilled. Okay? It was fulfilled. Josephus give us the proof because the Most High ordained him to give us that information. The Messiah prophesies about that too. Okay? I'm turning to it now. Daniel chapter 9. Here we go. It was in verse 27. In verse 27, he said, I want to make this the focus. In that 1 week, and we know that in that 1 week represent what? 7 years. That was the number of years when the Jews was in war with the Romans. Okay? And he said in that 1 week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. Okay? And for the overspreading abominations, he shall make it desolate. And we have proof that the true Jerusalem of the Jebusite is desolate. When you read the work of Josephus, you will read about the abominations that Titus brought to the Most High Temple. Like I say, history repeats itself. They did with the Greeks, but this time the Romans destroyed Jerusalem, like the ancient Babylonians did. Okay. All right. And let's see here. And you can read that in Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21, those chapters. Okay, so that happened on the 14th, that happened on the 17th day in the 4th month of the moon. Okay. In the 3rd week of the moon, on the 20th day, we have the sun enter into the 5th sign of Mazzaroth. Today, the heathens call this 5th sign of Mazzaroth Leo. Okay. On this day, this is when you still have daylight greater than night, but it's decreasing now. In other words, when this happened, daylight would be 11 parts and night would be 7 parts. So you would have about 13 hours and 20 minutes of daylight and about 10 hours and 40 minutes of night. Now, it won't be exact now because the earth is not aligned with the heavens. Like I said, when you start observing these things and the signs that we see that's happening, you will understand why. It's not exact anymore. Okay? So when the sun entered into the 5th sign of Mazzaroth, that day is the last day of the sun's 4th month. And that's how I was able to get 32. Okay? 32 days. If I had made an error, you would see a correction in the video description box or in another video. Okay? However, that's what I have so far. So far as the count to Pentecost, it's the 41st day. to the count of Pentecost. Far as the biblical event, it is Moses' 32nd daylight and 31st night on Mount Sinai. And it falls on the heathen's day of this year, July the 22nd to July the 23rd, from sundown to sundown. Okay? So, when the sun enters the fifth sign of Mazzaroth, what happens the next day, which is the 21st day of the moon, this will be the sun's first day in its fifth month. Like I say, you got to go back and read the prophet's writings. Okay? Which brings us now to the 22nd day of the moon. On this day, this is when we have the moon what? Decreasing in light. It is what? Waning now. So it's waning back down to 50%. And it occurs on the heathen day, which is July the 25th, 2019 at 4:18 a.m. Israel Daylight Savings Time. Okay? And it falls on the sun's fifth month and second day. And as far as the count to Pentecost, it is the 43rd day count to Pentecost. As far as the biblical event, this is Moses' 33rd night and 34th daylight on Mount Sinai. And it falls on July the 24th to July the 25th. Okay? Which brings us to the last week of the moon. Let me bring this up. Last week of the moon. In the last week of the moon, on the 28th day, this is when we have the moon decreasing more in light, which becomes a crescent again. Now, this particular phase of the moon is only seen in the late hour of the night to the early part of the morning, and it can last up to noontime, depending on your location. This phase, as the moon gets smaller and smaller in light, it is sometimes very hard to see. Okay? But a significant biblical event occurred on the 28th day of the moon in this fourth month. This is the day when my ancestors made a golden calf. This is the day they committed what? Idolatry, adultery, a great sin against the Most High. This is the same sin that caused my people to be scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. This is the same sin that caused my people for the covenant, for the old covenant to be broken. Read Zechariah chapter 11. And to understand how the Most High feel, it is the same when a loved one commits adultery against you. The same way you feel will give you understanding on how he feels. When you read my ancestors' circuit books, Gentiles, you will learn that he loved Israel so much. He gave them what? Chance after chance after chance. But because we are in flesh, we didn't get it. Because we are in darkness, by that principality, the one who, what's the word? Caused Adam to fall. The one who is reigning now. We have, he has still kept my people in darkness, which give us understanding why the Messiah had to come, and it'll give you understanding why they didn't get it, and why my people today are not getting it, why they're not understanding these spiritual things, why they are still erring. So he's going to have to come back. and he will get them right in the wilderness. Father, my Father in heaven, through his Son, will get his people right in the wilderness. And those who are righteous and worthy will be allowed to enter into the Holy Land. Those who are wicked, who is a rebel, who still would not get it, they will be cut off. Which brings me to this, Israelites and Gentiles. There are three groups. Three groups. Your inheritance, Israelites and Gentiles, is determined by these three things, and this is what the word was teaching me. It is determined by your heart, your faith, and your works. Now, Gentiles, I know you're not a part of the 144K, but you are a part of the bride. And when the nation of Israel is restored, or when their kingdom is restored, there will be Gentiles a part of that kingdom. There will be strangers who will sojourn with them. There will be men servants and maid servants. Then after that, then you will have the other nations in the earth. Choose today whom you shall serve. And remember, your heart, your faith, your works will determine what inheritance you shall receive. Like the Messiah said, there will be those called great in the kingdom. Then there will be those called least in the kingdom. So you can choose to be in the bride, Israelites and Gentiles. Israelites, only the Father can choose who will be the 144. Okay? Or you can fall into the third group. They have to remain in the earth, because as prophecy say, that group will remain in the earth. Because he got to get them right. He has to what? Circumcise their heart and give them a new spirit. But once he do that, they will be in righteousness. And they will be no longer afflicted, nor oppressed, nor vexed. And they shall live in what? Peace. Shalom. And they shall what? Rest. They shall live in his rest. Okay. But on the 28th day of the moon, this is when my people had made the golden calf. This is Moses' 39th night on Mount Sinai and 40th daylight. And this is the 40th night count to Pentecost. So this year, Pentecost will fall on, will fall on the 29th day of the moon. Now, for those who are more seasoned and has learned by his calendar, we know that Pentecost can fall on the 28th day or the 29th day. And the reason is because the moon months, total days can vary. Sometimes she can have 29, sometimes she can have 30. So this is why you have that variation. But you will always see this. Pentecost will only fall on the 28th day or the 29th day. It can be the day next to the Sabbath, or the day before the Sabbath, or it can be the day on the Sabbath. And the Sabbath I'm talking about is the 7th day of the Most High Rest. Okay? So this year it falls on the 29th day of the moon, Pentecost, Shavuot. This is also the day when we have the moon where she has no light. And as Enoch said, this is the last day of the month when the moon has no light upon her. This is the ending of the month. Okay? And it occurs on the Heathen's Day, August the 1st, 2019. at 6:11 a.m. Israel Daylight Saving Time. Okay? And on this day, this is the 40th night, because this is the day when the Father's telling what the people are doing. And remember, a night is the beginning of the day. Go back to Genesis. What existed? It was darkness. Then came light. Okay? So, at the beginning of the day, in the night phase, Moses was on the mountain, and the Father was telling Moses what the people were doing. They was committing idolatry. Okay? So this is why you see me have 0 daylight, because he has fulfilled the 40th daylight on day 28 of the moon. But Moses fulfilled the 40th night on the 29th day of the moon. Okay? And on this day, that's when my ancestors made a feast unto, in the English tongue, they would say Lord, because that word was replaced. The word Lord replaced Yahuwah. Do you see how the Israelites always had a habit of combining idolatry with the sacred things that Yahuwah gave unto them? Okay? So you can read Exodus chapter 2 on that. Exodus chapter 32. And when you go back in the Hebrew language, you will learn that that word is supposed to be Yahuwah. And I do need to make a correction. Thank you, Father. I don't know why that thing did that. Okay, let me go back. There we go. All right. Let's bring us to this. So this occurred on the sun's 5th month and 9th day, and we are in summertime still. Okay. And it falls on the Heathen's Day, July the 31st to August the 1st. All right. I'll let you pause this so you can pause the screen and look at this. Now let's go to this box here. I do want to mention this. Do you see a correlation with Moses, with him being on the mountain for 40 daylights and 40 nights, and how it relates to the feast of Shavuot? Also, how it relates to the Messiah. Remember, the Messiah was in what? He went into the wilderness for 40 days. Okay. Also, in this box, it's written that when you look at the 40.5 days, which is 40 daylights and 40 nights, Moses went into Mount Sinai after the morning activities on day 18. So I'm mentioning this so you can compare when the Jewish, who are converts, keeps Shavuot, when the Hebrew Israelites keep Shavuot, and notice what season that they keep in, spring. And the wheat is not ripe when they're not showing you any wheat. And I'm talking about the true ancient wheat. Okay? Not something that man has manipulated, or not something that has changed, But it's not matching up. And the words say that, but you must bring a new meat offering, and that new meat offering must be what made a certain way. So that bread had to be made. Okay? And all those ingredients represent something spiritual. And on the channel, it talks about those spiritual things, sacred things. But I want you to look at these numbers, because our Father is speaking through numbers and giving us divine things and understanding. Because when you look at the numbers, notice that when Moses was in Mount Sinai, he was in the cloud for what? 7 days. So I said, well, let me subtract 7 from 40. And I get what? 33 and a half days. From that 40 and a half days, from the 40 and a half days that Moses was in Mount Sinai, which go in hand with the Messiah age, when he was crucified and resurrected as the second Adam. He set the example what the bride and the 144,000 shall become. A mystery that many do not understand. And through him we shall return back to the status of Adam. It goes deep, my brothers and sisters. Okay. And notice how it relates to the two witnesses that shall come. Notice how long they prophesied. They prophesied for what, 3.5 years too. Do you see the correlation? Did not the Messiah prophesy for about 3.5 years? So in that 4th year, he was crucified and resurrected. So he was what? 33.5 years old during that time. Okay. Which brings us to this. So what we talked about earlier with Jubilees. When you read a book of Jubilees, you know it deals with Moses. And the things that are written in the book of Jubilees is during the time when Moses is on Mount Sinai. All that divine information that you see takes place. And the reason I'm saying this over and over again, because I want you to understand the setting. Then you can understand why Shavuot is not in the 3rd month, but in the 4th month. So Moshe is in Mount Sinai, and he's given this information, okay, about everything, the commandments, the tabernacle, his holy feasts and holy feast days, all this divine information. So when we read Jubilees, chapter 6, verse 19 to 23, there's clues in there to understand why Shavuot is kept in the 4th month. Okay, so let us read that together. And I'm going to bring this way out, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'm going to have to read it straight to save time. So, because, I'm already over an hour in this video. So I'm just going to read it straight. But Abraham observed it, and Isaac and Jacob and his children observe it up to thy days. And in thy days the children of Israel forgot it, until ye celebrate it anew on this mountain. Notice how I have certain words underlined in red. Okay. So what we learned, like the same thing that has happened to us, Israelites, who are scattered throughout the 4 corners of the earth. Our language has been taken away. Our heritage has been taken away. So we have forgot about a lot of divine things. So we have been taught the ways of the heathens. Okay? History repeats itself. Same thing that happened to our ancestors in Egypt. So they have forgot about these divine things. So notice what the Father said unto Moses. He said unto him, Ye celebrate it anew on this mountain. So they are to celebrate what? Shavuot in Mount Sinai. And it was to what? Be anew. So something was to take place, a change. So we're going to learn about what this change is. Something new. Okay. And notice the setting. It occurred in around Mount Sinai. Okay. Then we're going to read verse 20. And do thou command the children of Israel to observe this festival in all their generation for a commandment unto them. One day in the year, in this month, they shall celebrate the festival. So he let us know that when he's telling Moses, they're going to what? Celebrate Shavuot on one day. And notice he said in this month. So we know Moses was in Mount Sinai starting from the 3rd month on the 18th day. And it ended, if I look at each month being 30 days, it would have ended on the 28th day in this 4th month. Okay. So notice here, we don't see if it's the 3rd or 4th, but he let Moses know that he said in this month. So somewhere during that time, from the third month, started from the 18th day, we're actually way past the 18th, because Moses stayed in what? That cloud for 7 days on Mount Sinai before the Father spoke to him. So when you look at that, it was way after that. All right. So that's another proof unto us there was a change. Okay. We keep reading. Verse 21. For it is the feast of weeks and the feast of first fruits. This feast is twofold and of a double nature. So that's a change. So it's two things that the Israelites are celebrating. We are celebrating what? The first fruits. But the first fruits of what? Of the wheat harvest, which go in hand with the gathering, with the bride, with the 144. Because that's the day what? They receive the gift. I tell you, it's just like one thing after another, go hand in hand. Where we go from the flat bread to the leavened bread. Well, then we keep going, because there's many videos on the channel that talks about these sacred divine things that take place, the changes that takes place. But let us keep going. So he just said here, so we see here the feast of the first fruits is talking about the wheat harvest. And we always got to bring what? A offering to the Most High, the first fruits. So we're supposed to bring what? 2 loaves. 2 loaves that's made of wheat. Now the second part of this festival pertains to the Feast of Weeks. And when we study about that, that was dealing with the covenant that our father made with Noah and his seed. Okay, with Adam. All right, let us know he will not destroy the world by water or by flood. This is why we see the rainbow appear in the heavens, especially after it rains. Okay, so this festival is dealing with 2 things now. It's a new. Okay, but let us keep going. According to what is written and engraven concerning it, celebrate it. For I have written the book of the first law, in that which I have written for thee, that thou shouldest celebrate it in its season, one day in the year. And I have explained to thee its sacrifices, that the children of Israel should remember and should celebrate it throughout their generation in this month, one day in every year. So we know what took place. They committed idolatry on this day. Because when we read Numbers chapter 10, verse 11 to 12, we learn that they left the wilderness of Sinai in the second month on the 20th day in the second year when they were out of Egypt. Okay? All right, let's continue. And I explained to thee its sacrifices, that the children of Israel should remember and should celebrate it throughout their generation in this month, one day in every year, and on the new moon of the first month, and on the new moon of the 4th month, and on the new moon of the 7th month, and on the new moon of the 10th month are the days of remembrance, and the days of the seasons in the 4 divisions of the year. And the reason why they are days of remembrance, when you look at the first month, and you follow it through, the 4th month, the 7th month, and the 10th month, it go in hand with the biblical events that happened with Noah. And because of those are the days of remembrance, okay, there was a festival set for those days. So this is why we see the seasons occurring on those days. You have 3 months for spring, 3 months for summer, 3 months for fall, 3 months for winter. Okay? We see while we have a season of hot, a season of cold. We see that because it tied into a biblical event, a divine event, where it was dealing with judgment, or where it was dealing with deliverance, salvation. Do you see this? How everything connects, and why the Father want us to keep a more of this. These things should not be put away. If we put these things away, what's going to happen? Israelites and Gentiles. We forget, and then we're going to err, and then we're going to commit the same mistakes that our ancestors did. This is why we cannot follow the doctrines of Christianity. For the doctrines of Christianity comes from the Romans, the fourth beast. And they don't want to follow what Yahuwah has given unto us. See, what Yahuwah give unto us shall what? Give us life. It shall give us what? Eternal life. Okay? So I know I had said a lot in this video. So when you click on these links, you have access to the Book of Jubilees. It's free. Just click on that link there. Go back and read. Take your time, because there's a lot of things that he has given unto Moshe. Not only during the 40 days and 40 nights, but it was some other stuff too he has given unto Moshe that Moshe told the people, and the people said we would do it. Go back and read. It's a lot of stuff. Okay, I have said enough. I hope you understand the fourth new moon report, and how this is the month of the wheat harvest and the completion of the 40 days of Moses being on Mount Sinai, and how it relates to the new covenant, to the new marriage. If not, you can email me, and there's many videos on the channel. But most importantly, seek Yahuwah. Seek him. Ask him to give you understanding of these things, and his spirit, which is the comforter, shall teach them unto you. But you have to unharden your heart. Do you hear me? You have to unharden your heart. And once you do that, it's so much the Father can show unto you. All right, my brothers and sisters, continue to preach the gospel that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10. And baptize them in the name of Yahusha HaMashyach. For the Lamb set the example of the water baptism and the Holy Spirit baptism. And the apostles continued them both. And we, the bride, and the 144 shall continue it as well. So the completion of regeneration can come forth. For we wait on the third step. And only that Holy One can do that. For he shall carry out his Father's judgment in the earth. He shall prepare the way for the Father to come to bring the new eternal kingdom. And when the Father come, Adam, Israelites, we shall have peace and we shall have rest. No more pain, no more death, and no more sorrow. I love you all, and shalom.